Last Friday, during my first press conference, I made a commitment to have media briefing in terms of sharing information with the local media on COVID-19. Today's briefing this morning is culmination on that promise. With me today at this maiden press briefing, I have invited Commissioner Nalumbu from the Namibian Police to give an overview from the security cluster on COVID-19. I've also invited Ms. Stefanis, the Regional Director for Education. As you know, this week, some teachers started with school, although some still work from home to finalize issues around how best they could start with the school, and in particular looking at issues of curriculum and how the aspect of e-learning can be affected. The Director will inform us more around those and many other issues in her update. I thank the Namibian newspaper for running a story in the front page yesterday on the initiative by 12-year-old Brentius Jas, who is a grade 7 learner at Emmanuel Reuters Primary School in Walvisbay. He uses this time to reach 6 of his peers, mathematics and English, and is certainly within the COVID-19 regulations on the gathering in his class. This is a commendable initiative which needs to be honored. Therefore, I am pleased to announce that my office, in consultation with the Director of Education, Ms. Stefanis, will soon hand over 4 mobile chalkboards and some books for his classes. Additionally to that, we have a private school that is on board in assisting Mr. Jas with materials and resources. With that, we urge other private schools, teachers, and the community at large to join hands in collaboration with the Ministry of Arts, Education and Culture in the effort to assist the children's education during this difficult time. I have also with me this morning Ms. Anna Jonas, the Director of Health in Erongo region, who will update you from the health perspective on the COVID-19. I'm also pleased to inform through you, the resident of Erongo and Namibia at large, that from the 4 recorded cases, we have 1 who has fully recovered, but this does not mean that we have to rest on our successes, but work hard to ensure that we defeat the virus. I am pleased to inform to you that during Monday and Tuesday this week, I had visits to the traditional authority in the region, who has briefed me on their activities as it relates to COVID-19. All traditional councillors or leaders who I've met are meeting the regulations under the lockdown. The traditional authority, based in their own capacity, adhered to the most aspects, such as having hand sanitizers, washing their hands, maintaining the social distance, and avoiding close contact, and are educating their communities about the measures that have been put in place. Having that, they are facing challenges with water supply and food, of which my office is seeking and looking into the solution to assist them. I'm happy to announce that Lifeline Childline Namibia donated food assistance to the children in some parts of the region. Additionally to that, Nampower donated 8 10,000 liter tanks and 30 dry sanitation toilets that will be distributed in the region. We have observed that we still need to do more and will therefore call on the stakeholders and our private sector in particular to further support us in this regard. In conclusion, I would like to thank the central government, constituency councillors, the state-owned enterprises, private sector, local authorities, traditional leaders, the security cluster, and the media for their continuous support in the fighting against COVID-19 pandemic.
The situation is that you know that the schools were moved from the closure of 17th April to the 9th as first, since it was the Easter weekend. And whilst we were busy with this process, on the 15th of March, the Friday, the then acting minister forwarded communication that the close should be immediately closed as from the 16th of March, which was the Monday. In Erongo, we sent back 4,341 learners and 1,799 teachers, both from government and private schools home. Now, the closure of the schools and other learning institutions due to the COVID-19 negatively impacted on teaching and learning, assessment, because most of the schools was in the process to prepare for assessment, continuous assessment, and also examination processes. The first step was that from head office we got a request that we should come up with inputs for the ministerial directive, and through the chief regional officer we got the documents, and we were supposed to come up then with this inputs. What we did is that we had planning meetings at the regional level with key management members in with regards to teaching and learning, and also with colleagues in finance and procurement. And we had 2 meetings on this to come up with the inputs. The last meeting was to consolidate then the inputs from the teachers and principals to forward to head office. Our planning then was on 2 scenarios, which we were saying that if schools reopen, what should be in place? And then the second one was if the period is extended, what is the way forward then? I don't know whether, or I don't think I should dwell on the first one because the schools did not reopen. It means that what we have planned for the reopening of the schools fall off the table. So our second scenario that we have suggested as inputs was then to look at, number 1, distant teaching and learning through different modes, or extend the academic year to 2021. With regards to the first one, we suggested that we can look at distant teaching and learning, as we said, different modes, where teachers will prepare teaching material, because our thinking was that they will come back to school. So then we prepared that they should prepare teaching material for learners. They should then also start to communicate with parents and learners while on holiday on the processes that will follow. We have suggested e-learning modes like Google Classroom, models that are already in existence, teachers who are already using the Kapona e-learning system that is there, where they also have platforms that they exchange some ideas with each other. We have the Jolophonics system that is also there, Juniors software e-learning, where learners don't have to use Wi-Fi or internet. So it's a tablet that learners can, or the parents can buy for the learners. And then we also said that private schools also had their own suggestions, that they said that they would like to continue with e-learning, especially with the learners from pre-primary up to grade 12, because at some of these schools, these systems are already in place. Then we said that most of the teachers also have WhatsApp groups, and therefore sharing of information was easier for some of the schools. Junior primary teachers introduced also numeracy and literacy skills through the Namibia Reading app for the ages 11 from age 5 to 11 years. And then we also suggested that already learners can start to watch TVs, especially the channels 317 and 319 for secondary schools, where there are already lessons that are broadcasted through the TV or shown on TV. Then there's also the Zoom app that we have introduced to teachers and principals, that they can already start have meetings on these different medias. So we have communicated this to the teachers through WhatsApp and emails, just to kickstart the process, whilst we are saying that this will be our inputs for the ministerial directive. With regards to assessment, we also discussed the issue of assessment, and we were saying that with the circumstances that are there, that I will also allude to or discuss the later, where learners are not having equal opportunities to engage in teaching and learning from home. Let's also develop material for the specific learners. So this is an ongoing process. Whilst we were busy with these inputs and interaction with principals during the holiday, there was an announcement of further lockdown from the 17th to the 5th of May. That means that the holiday mood will be over. Teachers will report back on the 20th of April to the school. I beg your pardon, to school, but not physically at the school, but working from home. Thus, the suggestion and introduction of distant learning through different modes now came into play. That we had a meeting on the 17th of April, again with the key regional management team members, and we discussed the modalities as to how we will introduce the modes of study, as well as the instructions from head office that we had at the time. Now, the instructions from head office, we had various consultations and also requests from head office that we had to forward it, so that the issue of e-learning should also be addressed and modality should be put in place from head office side. The first one was that we should determine how many teachers are in towns of their duty station. And from our records that we receive from principals is that we have from the 1,313 government teachers, we have 310 that are outside their duty stations. So the instruction was that these teachers should remain where they are and just see how they can contribute to teaching and learning from the place where they are. So that was done. We forwarded the information to head office. And then we were supposed to submit bank statements from the different schools The purpose of this exercise was to determine the balance of the funds available for the education grant that was forwarded to the schools, so that the needs of schools, like if the schools reopen, sanitation, cleaning material, masks should be addressed. But whilst the close down is there, that principals should see to that teachers can be assisted with, for instance, data, because most of them are communicating through WhatsApps, and it's costly. One of the challenges that was also mentioned. Then there was the issue of permits that we were supposed to give to key personnel. I should also report at the state that so far I have only given 4 permits to key personnel from the regional council, 2 colleagues who were supposed to hand over the site, and then 2 colleagues who are currently now distributing maize bags to the schools. So with regards to the teachers, no one is forced to go to the school. But if there is a need, the principals and teachers should go to the schools to prepare, develop material, and prepare video lessons. Then there was a sample of a letter forwarded to us, which we have then copied into our letterhead, and then the school should attach not more than 5 teachers to attend to this request then, if they want to go to school to prepare some material and videos. Furthermore, we were requested to establish regional hubs. This is hubs where material will be developed and distributed. We were supposed to equip these hubs with photocopying facilities, but when we discussed and consulted with the principals, we realized that it will be cumbersome to establish new hubs whilst we have cluster centers. And we have 10 cluster centers, 4 in Omaruru Circuit, 3 in Swakopmund, and 3 in Walvisbay, with the same facilities. So we said that let's stick to the cluster centers, and then we will then develop material from the cluster centers, which will be distributed to the parents, and then through the parents to the learners. We were requested to then also have a survey on readiness of teachers for e-learning and online learning, and then we requested principals to forward the questionnaire online or send hard copies to NIET, because they are in the process then to see how many teachers are actually able to then conduct this distant learning through e-learning, and who also have ITC equipment to the access who have access to IT equipment, and how we can address this, because there are also complaints that working from home, I don't have a laptop and I don't have a computer. So the questionnaire is based on these questions. Then there is a call for nomination also on expert computer literacy subject teachers in all grades, and this was also done. I should say that the inspectors and the professional development staff and other management staff work throughout the weeks and the holidays to get this information, or weekends to get this information. And then teachers were identified from pre-primary to grade 12, and then some of the video lessons developed were forwarded to NIET. So it's an ongoing process. Teachers are still busy to develop then the video lessons for the learners. This was to develop a preparedness and response plan for schools and hostels. We have forwarded the information with the example of the regional plan that we have developed to schools, so that they can also come up with this plan. If they go to the schools, they should keep the distance as required, and then certain things should be in place. And also when the schools and hostels reopen, we should have a plan in place. Then the next request was fumigation of hostels and schools, that we should see to it as regional office, that all schools and hostels need to be fumigated before the schools are reopening. And then I'm going for the last two, distribution of maize blend to the most needy learners who were taking part in the National School Feeding Program was also forwarded to us on Monday. We had a meeting then on the same day, if not the next day, and then we came up with a plan. This was supposed to be done also in collaboration with the Office of the Honorable Governor, and we have consulted the PA, and we have submitted our submission to the Chief Regional Officer, and as I'm speaking, the two colleagues and the inspectors are now busy to distribute the maize bags to the vulnerable children. We have the list of the learners, so we are calling the parents to come and collect that. Because what we realize is that we take stock, and the expiring date of this maize blend is around about May, June. So to also address the issue of learners who are at home, but when they were attending school, at least they were having this one-day meal. Now we are giving the maize bags to the parents so that the rest of the family can benefit from that. And the last one, which we received yesterday, was the options of transitional school calendar for 2020. And the document is available. I don't know whether I should go into detail with the options, because we got the information yesterday. We had a meeting with the different inspectors per circuit, and as we said, that the information is now circulated to the different stakeholders, including the Education Forum. I think Nando already forwarded their options to head office, and then after this meeting, I'll finalize the regional option that is most preferred based on the responses of the stakeholders. So hopefully by next week, Friday, I will be able to report then on the ministerial directives and then the school calendar. I think briefly that is what I have to say, but I also want to just also report that we have principals that are not really very keen to address issues at school level. I had to take it up with the ED also, and her response was that we are all duty bound, whether we are at school level or regional level. We all are afraid of the virus, but we are sacrificing our families. Here we are sitting and we are addressing issues. So I would also like to thank the regional office staff who really work throughout the whole process and attend to these requests and activities that were there. So with regards to e-learning, we know that there are challenges, but we are trying to address these challenges. We just want to ask the parents and the teachers to really also just give us the inputs as what we should we do, because learners cannot just stay idled at home. They should be kept busy, and they can also read the comments and the directives from the Ministry of Uganda. The executive director also had very good ideas that she shared with the rest of the nation there. So we are reaching out to other nations also to see what is happening there. That's from our side.
The task forces are designed to carry out duties. Firstly, if we look at the men and women on patrol, we are talking about Walvis Bay, Swakopmund, Hentis Bay, Arandes. That is where we have the men from the coast. Then if you take Yusakos, Karibeb, or Maruru, we have men and women in uniform from inland. However, we have a number of stakeholders, mainly the Namibian police in this case is now the leading agent, working hand in hand with the Namibian Defence Force. As we know that the Namibian Defence Force has got three arms. We are talking about the army, the Navy and the Air Force. The Navy and the Army are assisting us on the task forces on the coastal line, including Arandes inland. The Air Force is assisting us inland. We are talking about Yusakos, Karibibo, Maruru, Uis, and all those areas. However, we are not just ending there. We have NCIS, we have the Namibia Correctional Service, NAMPOT, Ministry of Environment and Tourism, Ministry of Works, Ministry of Health. You know, they are leading from the health side. We have colleagues from Immigration, Customs and Excise, the regional, local authorities, and we have also some private sectors that are assisting us in curbing this COVID-19 pandemic. So now we have coordinated our activity in such a way that we have people who are on patrol to enforce the stay-at-home protocols and the social distancing. On top of that, we have as a zone, we have roadblocks. We have the main ones, we have the static ones, we have one in Karibeb, Omaruru, and then you come at the C14 road. Then we have that we call mobile ones. We have one between Swakop and Arandes, one between Walvis Bay and Swakopmund, the Norfolk Park Road, Uis Korihas. That is the combination of our operational activities. Having all those people in place, the only aim is to ensure that the joint operation is conducted in such a way, and they all report to the joint operational center that is directed by the two of us. In actual fact, it all started with the Navy commander when the Defense Force was the leading agent. So now that the leading agent status has been changed, it comes back to me. Now I'm working with my colleague, the commandant of the Marine, and he is as well representing the Navy commander. We still have some of our people who do not understand why we are out there. They are still not. It's also circumstances driven. They don't want to stay at home. And they don't understand why they have to stay at home. We still have people in the street trying to keep everybody at home and all these things. And we will stay put until we ensure that at least we have minimized the movements to ensure that COVID-19 does not spread within our region and beyond. Just to go to the activity themselves, we, in the past week, in an effort to curb to carry out the operation curb COVID-19. We had few charges laid against the citizens for non-compliance. In total, that is between Friday last week and yesterday. In total, we have 26 people who were charged with various transgressions in terms of of the lockdown regulations, generating in a process 52,000 Namibian dollars. Some have been paid, some are not yet paid. People have, because they are given an option of either paying or going to court. So they are still within their limits. If they want to go to court, court dates are set within those summonses that are issued to them. So that is on transgressions. When we go to our normal criminal activities, because we are not only concentrating on these ones, we have our normal criminal activities. We had a total if we look at, we have a total of 2 cases of rape, of which 1 arrest was effected, and the criminal justice system is in the process of ensuring that justice is served. Then we go to what we call GBV, that is gender-based violence, assault, and any other transgression on a domestic relationship. We in last week only we had 18 cases, of which 8 arrests were affected. This is court business now. We had a total of 34 cases of housebreaking with intent to steal and theft, 14 arrests. That is, you can see that all other violent offenses like assaults, they are reduced, because I just hope they will not go up with the under 3% alcohol that we have put through the process. Let's talk about another concern, that is movement of motor vehicles, trucks, and other small cars. This has to do now with exemption permits, other permits that are given to people going for any other activities like funerals and all these things. In Zone 7, which is our responsibility, if we are talking about the incoming, we are talking about trucks and small motor vehicles coming into the region. Trucks, we are talking about 2,702 trucks incoming. Other motor vehicles, we are talking about 1,333. While outgoing, the trucks were 2,448 and outgoing 1,494. Rejected permits, if the permit is defective, I don't know if we have heard of someone who has been arrested for selling fake permits. So these are some of them, and some of the permits that were issued and they don't comply with the regulation. We have rejected 29 permits, either to come through or to go out. The other concern is, which is very, very, very difficult to control, are the taxis in our suburbs. Very, very difficult to control, but we are trying to keep them under control. But you will see that because there is no place set up for them, maybe, because we were thinking of having them to drive on call basis, to say if you are called by Nelumbu to pick him up, where then you can. But you will still find them like here in Swakop in front of ShopRites waiting for clients. who are not even there. So the other issue of concern is the track port that the municipality of Walvis Bay, in conjunction with other stakeholders, it came a long way in CAD, but it's not yet off the ground. I have seen they have almost completed cordoning of the area with containers, but there is also now an issue of ablution facilities and all other administrations that need to be done so that we can have those trucks controlled. As for now, we don't have a designated place to park those trucks and control them because they are coming at different times. There is no place for them. They park. Sometimes you will even find them in the suburbs, which is very, very dangerous in terms of infection within the communities. So I was trying to check on because we also have our own programs, our own people. At least in the past week, we did not record any case of assault against our members. However, there was a misunderstanding at a shop in Walvis Bay that went viral. One of our members went in a shop in plain clothes and allegedly refused to introduce himself, and this was a problem, and we have addressed that accordingly, and we are still collecting information to see what we can. Although the complainant is not that much cooperating, he wants to handle it differently, so we give him the benefit of the doubt. But from our side, if there is no criminal cases that is brought forward, we will definitely deal with our member internally so that we ensure that discipline is maintained during the execution of our duties. Those are the points of what I think is very, very good for consumption of the media, so that this can be disseminated to our people to just to take the matter serious, because it's not our intention to keep people into their houses and all these things, but the situation demands that we keep them at one place, so that if there is this virus in one corner, we keep it specifically in that corner. I think if I have left out something of note, I will allow my colleague here to assist me in that regard. Thank you.
As we all know, when someone has traveled, you need to be quarantined for 14 days. Or if you are in contact with the positive case, you need to be quarantined for 14 days. For now, we have 28 people that are in quarantine, but these are mostly people that were at sea and came back. They also need to be quarantined for 14 days, as well as truck drivers. We have many people that are coming in, especially from our neighboring countries, that then when they come back, they also need to be quarantined for 14 days. So we have about 28 people that we are currently monitoring as quarantine cases. In order to implement COVID-19 effectively, we have committees in place that are meeting on a weekly basis, as well as on ad hoc basis. So we have different committees. We have coordination committee. We have the surveillance committee. That is really the surveillance committee is responsible for identifying the cases, making sure that they are followed up, as well as reporting, so interpretation of data. We also expected to report on a daily basis as well as on a weekly basis to the national level. And this is this is actually the arm that is helping us to report to the national level. We also have got a committee called case management, just to make sure that our patients are properly monitored, as well that we have all protocols that are required in place, as well as standard operating procedures. We have a social mobilization committee as well. Sorry. Committee as well. That is making sure that information is disseminated to the different communities, as well as making sure that information, education, and communication materials are available. So here we are working with the different stakeholders, as well as the Ministry of Health and Social Services, that's mostly giving us most of our IEC materials. So we continue to get the required equipment, protective equipment. Mostly these are coming from the Ministry of Health and Social Services. But we are also grateful for our partners that are also augmenting the ministry. We have received material from NAMPOD, for instance. We have received gloves, as well as other protective equipments. So this is really in effort to make sure that our staff are protected when they are providing services to the clients as well as the community at large. We also would like to thank all our partners who are, assisting us to make sure that we have required items in place. For instance, during this time we are practicing, as it was already indicated, social distancing in all our facilities. So we have received items like tents that we have at most of our district hospitals. We have Walvis by Swakopmund, Omaruru, and Usakos. So we have received tents where we can do screening before the patient or the clients are sent to the respective services, just to make sure that they are not at risk of, infecting other patients. So that we call it triaging. We ask them a few questions before they go into the facility, the facilities. So we receive tents from the correctional services as well as municipalities and the breweries. So we would like to thank them for coming to our aid. As a ministry, we are also expected to mend the roadblocks. I think Commissioner already mentioned that we have 4 roadblocks, of which 3 of them, the Karibeb, Omaruru Kaltfeld, and Walvis by No Kluft. These are running 24/7. So we have our staff there that are actually screening all the incoming as well as those who are leaving the region. So, but then we also like to thank the Ministry of Defense as well as the police, because in addition to our staff they are also assisting us with the screening. We have a medic at Kalkveld, as well as people that are assisting at Karibeb roadblock, the Air Force. So again, we also thank the ministry for augmenting the thermal guns, because everyone that comes in or goes out, we will have to take their temperatures. So previously we had 1 per roadblock, but at least now we have 2, and we are expecting, we are also observing that the lines are no longer that long as it used to be, because now at least you'll be able to have 2 people who are then able to take the vital signs. I think as it was alluded by the Commissioner also, our concern is the movement. There are too many movements when it comes to vehicles, people moving from Erongo, coming in and so on. And we will urge the community, if we can minimize our movement during this time, and also only do what is really critical or essential and that cannot wait until the lockdown is over. Because we are expected to then provide human resources at the roadblock, which was not part of our plan, this is also then is a challenge for us to be able to provide, the routine services as well as manning the roadblock among all our activities. So, but then we also like to thank all other partners that have come on board to give us, to make use of their volunteers, as well as some additional staff that we got from the ministry. So we are in the process of recruiting human resources to augment what we already have, registered nurses as well as enrolled nurses. And we have also received volunteers to that effect. As I've indicated, one of our biggest challenge is the movement of staff, the movement of people within and outside the region. And then most of them, the reasons are really that they are going for funerals, and you'll find 2 or 3 cars with going to the same funeral, and so on. And then the other thing is also when it comes to trucks, we have many trucks that are coming from Zambia, South Africa, and so on. With it becomes difficult for monitoring purposes, especially if they don't have predetermined lodging. Yes, we are working with the police to make sure that they are patrolling, the area where they are, but it really becomes difficult, and I hope this is something that we need to address so that we at least, minimize the movement or the coming in of trucks, or making sure that there is a proper place where they can be accommodated while they are in country. I think in a nutshell, urge our community to continue using the hotline. We also have submitted our numbers so that if anyone who calls into the hotline number and is within our region, then can be referred to one of our point of contact within the region.